Arsenal have won yet again on the road with back-to-back victories, this time at the King Power Stadium. A dominant display from Mikel Arteta's Arsenal with some brilliant individual performances from the likes of Trossard and Jorginho. Breaking it all down for you next, how did Mikel Arteta get the better of Brendan Rodgers? Hello, I'm JC and welcome to Arsenal Analysed. Back at the top of the league, 3 points in the bag, plenty to break down. If you are looking forward to this video, do go ahead and smash that like button. And if you're new around here, why not consider subscribing, as it massively helps me out. But let's waste no more time at all and jump into things. Here is how both teams lined up on paper. Tactics changing very quickly for Leicester, even though they were at home. Arsenal enjoying close to 66% possession and also dominated in that final third, as per this field tilt graph provided by Canon Stats. A lot of pressure, a sea of red with just a tiny blip of blue, because Leicester City were limited to just the one shot in this game. Attacks very few and far between, and some of these numbers do not make good reading for Leicester City fans, with just 29 final third entries, 15 deep touches and 17 progressive passes. And when you compare that to what Arsenal done, it was an absolute dominant performance. Arsenal could have quite easily have won this game by more goals. Going back to the tactical board though, Leicester did try to make it very difficult for Arsenal, playing a very compact, narrow formation. Barnes, Tete and Pratt all primed to hit Arsenal on the counter-attack. And this is pretty much how Leicester set up for large parts of the game. This picture highlighting just how compact and narrow they tried to limit Arsenal in what they did, forcing Arsenal to play wide, similarly to the way Newcastle and Everton set up against Arsenal, meaning that they could double up on the likes of Saka and Martinelli, because Arsenal don't play with wing-backs that tend to go on the overlap like a Kieran Tierney, for example. Whilst we did see Ben White get beyond Saka at times and have joy down that right-hand side, Arsenal did opt for a slightly different system to the one that we have seen in previous weeks. Arteta looking to deploy Nketiah on the last man, the shoulder of the defender, if you will. Going back to the tactical board, what we did see is more of a front four from Arsenal, with Jorginho tucking here and Xhaka and Zinchenko looking to take turns in this left half space, and Ben White playing just slightly wider than usual. Now, what this did create was more of a box midfield, creating an overload in there, making it difficult for Leicester when looking to get the ball back off of Arsenal. Arsenal providing plenty of pressure. Now, Zinchenko and Xhaka did take turns in this left half space, and whoever the opposite was, they would come out to this kind of left side, whether it be as a left wing back, left winger, providing support to the likes of Martinelli. And this is further backed up in the passing network provided by Canon Stats. We can see that beautiful box midfield there, with Ben White playing slightly to the right, as mentioned. Zinchenko or Xhaka would take turns at playing a similar role on that left-hand side. But what worked really well in this particular system is, in previous weeks, we would see Nketiah playing a more central role, potentially even the furthest player forward. But Trossard has come out to the left, playing a little bit more of a fluid, interchangeable role with Martinelli. Martinelli coming inside quite often as a false nine. A very similar relationship being formed here to the one that we did see with Jesus, for example, where Martinelli did have a lot of success because he was allowed a little bit more freedom. But that box midfield there done absolute wonders for this Arsenal team. And we can see the thickness of those grey lines and just how much of the ball did go through Jorginho, a player that I thought had a fantastic game. Second in a row now, sort of proving a lot of doubters wrong as to why we signed him. Comparing this to Leicester City's passing network, as mentioned, they were playing with a very kind of narrow midfield three of Dewsbury Hall, Pratt and Ndidi. So no real surprises here when looking at their passing network. But one thing that did surprise me just a tad was how narrow Tete was and how more advanced and wide Castagne is. Now, we do know that Leicester like to use and utilise their fullbacks in this fashion, but unfortunately, due to how well Arsenal pinned Leicester in, they were unable to operate in the way that they did. And this is further highlighted in the XG throughout the game. At half-time, Leicester City had an XG of 0. Arsenal, not that much better at 0.36. And when ending the game, it was 0.01 for Leicester. So not good reading for Leicester fans. And Arsenal, not quite there with 1, but they did have 0.65. Moving on from tactics, it's time to talk about, yes, VAR. Would it be a game of Premier League football if we didn't have a few controversial decisions with officials wanting to, well, be the usual headlines that they are every single weekend? Now, the game was going just fine, and Arsenal had scored what looked like at the time a perfectly good goal. An absolute worldie, actually, from Lisandro Trossard. The corner came in, the goalkeeper clears it, he picks the ball up on the edge of the box, and he smashes it top bins. What a way to open the goal scoring in this particular game. However, by the time VAR got their hands on it for this, Ben White apparently holding Ward's hand, the goal was eventually ruled out. Now, what annoys me is that there is no consistency in the Premier League. And what I mean by this is moments later, Bukayo Saka was brought down in the box. Now, whilst I appreciate the Leicester defender was on his way down, he does bring Saka down in the process from a ball that was whipped in from our right-hand side. Now, whilst both might be judged as soft, surely if one is a foul, so should the other. So let me know down in the comments below, were these both the right decisions? Am I overreacting? Because this has split the fan base as to whether or not these decisions were right or wrong. I'd love to know your opinions down below. Finally, we did have a right decision in this game with the ball being played through the middle by Odegaard to Martinelli. And you don't, in my opinion, need to draw the lines to see that this one is offside. Eventually, he squares it to Saka, who pops the ball into an open goal. Much more clear cut. However, on the day, there were some absolutely fantastic performances, in my opinion, from the likes of Gabriel and Saliba. Absolutely solid at centre-back. Martinelli obviously grabbing the goal much, much better, as we highlighted in the tactical analysis. Odegaard looking to dictate things in midfield. Saka, a constant nuisance down that right-hand side. Xhaka, an average performance in my opinion compared to what we have seen in, well, the start of the season. And then finally Zinchenko, who was outstanding, and a classy touch by the club who made him captain on the day due to the war going on in his country 1 year on. Hopefully there is an end to that sooner rather than later. But the two players that stood out for me, starting with Trossard, 100% dribbles completed, likewise with tackles won, 7 duels won, 2 shots, 1 chance created, an assist and 0.12 XG. Absolutely gutted for him. That goal was ruled out. But for me, man of the match was none other than Jorginho. Most touches, passes, possession won and tackles made. Those numbers you can see on screen now. Top-notch stuff. Also, 7 duels won, an interception and a foul won. He absolutely controlled and dominated that midfield. My Arsenal man of the match. Let me know down in the comments below, who was your Arsenal man of the match? And do you know what else makes good reading? Arsenal's away form. 13 games played on the road, 10 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses, 25 goals scored and only 9 goals conceded. Title winning form, we'll have to wait and see. Personally, I'm taking it 1 game at a time, but we are certainly heading in the right direction, and some very winnable games up ahead. 2 in a row now. Momentum building, confidence building. Can we win our next few games? If you have enjoyed today's video, do go ahead and like it. Subscribe if you're new around here. But for now, I'm JC, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe and take care.